Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 horror thriller Wolf Garden. The film is written and directed by Wayne David, who also stars in the film. The film also stars Sean Altman, Grant Masters and Jake Wood. Now the film focuses on Wayne David's character William and Sean Altman's character Chantel. Now it would appear that they are kind of holidaying or staying at this nice cottage out in the countryside somewhere, and there appears to have been something that has happened to Chantel, and William is having these strange feelings, thoughts, dreams that something catastrophic has happened. He's having to stay there because people are looking for him. The couple are supposedly missing. And he has to kind of visit a shed or a barn periodically to leave some meat out for what appears to be a creature behind the doors. It slowly comes to a realization that something really horrific has happened to Chantel, and he's struggling to come to terms with this. Right, what are my thoughts on Wolf Garden? Well, it's actually a really difficult film to describe this for a number of reasons. This is one of those films that I think is going to divide audiences. It is quite a thoughtful film in many, many ways. Now, most people will go into this thinking, this is a werewolf film, great stuff, I'll watch it. And it is, but it isn't at the same time, because you barely see anything in this film. It's not really about that. It's more about loss, and tragedy, and grief, and all that kind of stuff. It is far less about a beastie, knocking down doors and munching on people. So if you're going to go into this film thinking that's what this is, you are going to come out of it pretty annoyed, I suspect. Now, if you go into this film understanding that what you're getting here is, at times, quite a thoughtful film, quite nicely shot at times. I mean, I will compliment the director here, Wayne David. There's some nice cinematography going on. There's some nice direction going on. You know what I mean? It's nicely shot. There's some, nice lighting, all this kind of stuff. It's got quite a decent level of polish going on here. But ultimately, I think, for me, what let this film down was the constant red herrings and also a severe level of predictability. Fairly early in the film, I had this thought in my mind of what's happened. And that's turned out to be what it was. Now, that's not to say that you'll think the same thing, but it's not difficult, I don't think, to pick it up. But then again, I'm not sure the film is wanting to necessarily make it a secret. But once you kind of figure out what has gone on or what's happened, the film then kind of slows down drastically because it never kind of progresses on. Now, if you don't figure out what is going on, then maybe the mystery will, keep you happy or engaged for longer. But because I figured it out fairly early, I was then subjected, if you like, to red herring after red herring and dream sequence after dream sequence and confusion after confusion and so on and so forth. And it's one of those films that will either interest you, intrigue you, or frustrate you massively. I think it's quite divisive, really. I think many people that watch this will be quite divided by what they see. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I don't think every film's for everybody, and I do think that the director and writer here, Wayne David, has tried to make something a little bit thoughtful and different. And it's one of those films that kind of tries to slowly raise the curtain to fully reveal what is an actual fact taking place here, and what's gone on, and who are all these people talking to him. Is he losing his mind? What's gone on? What's happened to Chantel? And for me, there's only so long a film like that can kind of keep you dangling. And it's almost like this is not a found footage film, but what a found footage film, the blueprint for a found footage film, a good found footage film is, as I've mentioned before in many found footages, you get the setup, then you get, the stuff in between, an occasional scare, and then you get the big barnstorming finish, so you kind of leave on a bit of a high. And I do think if this film had given us that at the end, a bit more of a barnstorming finish, a bit more of a crowd pleasing, beastie of an ending here and there, right at the end, and maybe hinted at it a little bit more in the film, then it possibly might have left me certainly a little bit more pleased. When it finished, it was one of those films that kind of felt like a thoughtful indie film that never actually delivered what it says on the tin. It's one of those films where you look at the poster, look at the title, and you think, oh, I think I might get this when I watch this film, and read the synopsis. You're like, okay, I've got an idea of what this film is going to be when I put it on, and it's not that at all, really. It's almost like it's not. I don't mean it's not deceiving you or anything like that, but it is not necessarily what it's being advertised as, this film. So if anything of this sounds interesting, just go in pre-warned that this isn't necessarily the film you think you're going to get. It's more thoughtful than horror, but there are moments in the film where the film tries to tread lightly in horror, fairly unsuccessfully, it has to be said, because I didn't necessarily think the film was scary, but the potential was there to make it certainly a little bit more tense and a little bit more frightening here and there. So yeah, check it out if it sounds interesting to you. For me, it was very middle of the road, but I do think the potential was there, and there were some fairly nice creative ideas going on in the film, so it's a little bit different. So check it out if that's the sort of thing that you like. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.